welcome to Committed Musicians, Committed Music Company. I'm excited to rock out with you guys. I got the red lights on, I got the Northern Lights machines, and I want to talk to you about how to get more serious for yourself, for your band, for your community, be more able to respond to becoming a full-time musician, okay? So let's get started with turning that mic off. And I just want to show you my workflow. And we're going to be going over a song. It's called Deja Vu in Love. And it kind of reminds me of like old school sneaker pimps and stuff like that. And I'm going to try not to cuss because we're making this for kids too. Even though those are words. They're better words, especially when we get into the lyricism module here that I've created. It's basically I have a bunch of highlighters on my Evernote app. It's yellow, red, green, blue, purple, and orange. The orange, actually all the colors respond to days of the week. So Monday through Friday is everything but orange, and then the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, are orange. So going through, I've got to do purple for lyricism. I forgot to do that, that's my bad. And then it's kind of a Sunday activity, but I'm going to go ahead and label it. Okay, there we go. So we got. All right, so with all those labeled, I'm going to go ahead and save my work. What I started to do when I got back from a tour from Mexico last year, I tried to get more serious about my writing process, and we're going to go over those today. First is, let me go ahead and turn this light on, and I'll keep the two Northern Light machines on, and we'll change up the colors too for the song performance. But what I wanted to talk with you guys about is first those yellow items, right? The sun is yellow. Usually it's like this this bin right here. This is yellow. This is actually my hunting stuff that I have here that I'm organizing. But it's bright. The eye can see it super clearly. And what I learned from working at Home Depot, which is classic everything orange. Even basically their line of tools is all orange, but the human eye sees white, yellow, orange, and red the best. That's why red is such an important color when you talk about like hierarchical concepts, like within lobsters, that Dr. Jordan B. Peterson talks about. Also, it's stuff like this, like you've got a yellow level, and you always want to achieve balance in everything that you do. And the clickbait sort of thing was to have the the Back to the Future car clipped onto the hood of that, an actual tuner. And that's kind of like a reminder. I have all these things behind my computer, all these military coins and these challenge coins, to kind of remind myself of where I've been, where I'm at, and where I'm going. And so I keep this one over here usually, and then I always keep all my tools, and I'm developing and trying to think differently about the systems. Basically all of this, it's your today right now, and you have an obligation to yourself to basically to wake up your alarm clock even. So I've got two types of alarm clocks, actually three, which is my phone that I'm recording on right now, and I have dedicated alarms of specific things that I have coming up, and I label those, and I've actually have a master list that mirrors all of those alarms, and then I have in 30-minute increments. I have my alarms on Evernote too, and it just says, you know, from 5:55 when I wake up. You know, I have this alarm clock as a backup. Usually it's just kind of like a midday alarm. You can use this as a lunchtime alarm, or, you know, just to kind of set a digital alarm clock on your phone and just be like, okay, 15-minute increments. I'm going to do this for 15 minutes, and then I'm going to do this for 15 minutes. Or I'm going to, you know, have three things that you're going to be doing. And split it up into a rule of three is really powerful. This is really cool. It's called the Screamin' Meanie, and it takes one 9-volt battery, and okay, sorry about that. To grab something real quick. So first things first, right? You want to wake your alarm clock up, or you want to wake the sun up in the morning. As much as I've tried to avoid this in my life, it's such a guiding principle that you know, the early bird catches the worm. Don't let any other activity steal from, you know, when you think about your cell phone, you know, you always want to keep that charged, because that's your, you know, this is actually a personal protective device. It's very loud, and this one actually, I had the blue one initially from a Love's gas station that I got, and it only had very soft and too soft to wake me up, and super loud. I think it was this is 220 decibels, and yeah, it's insane. It's you know, the blue one had just 2 levels. This one actually has a medium on it. This one's really cool. I really like that. So that's something to invest in too. So also, you know, with the first things first, I keep some hand sanitizer by here, because I want to clean my strings, and I want the maximum amount of life on my guitar strings as possible. And I'm actually going to turn off this, that one right there, so it's not in my eyes. Real quick, for those Northern Lights machines, I have two units. One of these works for both units. So what I'm doing is basically creating systems within my work center, my workflow, which we'll cover. But I have this one. If I'm taking a nap, or I'm drawing or something like that by the window, my little reading nook over there, or art nook, I'll keep one over there. So I'm gonna, you know, I'm a creature of habit, and we are creatures of habit. So I'm gonna put that one right there on my music stand, and I'm gonna put this one over here where it usually goes. Next, so you could even invest in an app, or a battery-powered alarm clock. And I went over the two that I have with you, the Screamin' Meanie, and the actual, you know, kind of wind-up one that's battery-powered. I think it's got like 1C battery or something like that, or 1D battery. Next is meal prep. When you think about your body, like now you're awake, so you're able to basically travel through time to set that alarm, which used to have to be just when you woke up, or when the sun woke you up, or when someone was watching, you know, the group, right? And they were a sentry, they were awake, and they had a checks and balances system, right? So they would wake you up, right? Someone that was a guard would wake you up within your tribe or within your community, right? Or your parents, you know, that's usually the first people that are responsible and accountable to wake us up as children. So committing to that and taking that responsibility from your parents and being like, you know what, I'm gonna find an alarm clock at Goodwill, or I'm gonna invest in one of these when we go on a road trip. I'm gonna save up enough money. I'm gonna try to find multiple streams of income, and I'm gonna save my pennies and save my nickels and dimes and quarters and dollar bills and 20s and birthday money. And I'm gonna get one of these. I'm gonna become accountable so that the people in your life that are accountable for you can kind of, you know, really believe you. And that's something that's really huge. So going into we just got through with the yellow points of interest as far as, you know, having an alarm clock and, you know, setting an alarm and making it like a game. That's really important that you make it fun, because your brain doesn't pay attention to boring stuff, right? It pays attention to fun stuff with moving parts and music and, you know, little attention getters like I used for my tuner attached to the DeLorean. So going into the red zone, right? The red, the meat, the carne, right? In Spanish, Espanol. I've got some non-whole bread. I'm not sponsored by non-bread. But a lot of people don't like this one. They like the garlic naan bread, and they buy that. And so this one goes on discount. It's right there for $1.99. So these are like $4 or $5 usually, and I get them for $2. So it's $1 a piece. It's a dollar store item. You know, that's a huge thing to have really healthy naan bread. Get some olive oil from the store and your basic generic hummus, and add your herbs that you like, you know. And then get something in your belly, or make a green smoothie. You know, a $30 blender is going to go a long way, and the blender is going to actually, this is the crazy thing that I didn't know, before I started instituting this stuff, before I lived with my, with musicians, with my ex-bandmates, I didn't really have healthy eating habits. I ate healthy when I was eating healthy, but that was just random. You know, it was just, I'll have this, or I'll have some cashews, or I'll have some naan bread every now and then, but I didn't make it a consistent habit. So that's my encouragement to you, is to, find a way to get an alarm clock, right? Those yellow type of time-sensitive sort of things. And research the Be Smart analogy. For that SMART, that's a mnemonic device to help you to remember to make goals that are specific, right? Measurable, have accountability, and are realistic. And lastly, with that yellow item, are time sensitive. You know, they have that bam time stamp on it, just like those old pictures have, right at the bottom of the photo, right? You know, there was no way back in the day to lie with a picture. It actually burnt that into the picture that it took, right? So, finding those ways to wake yourself up and feed yourself really hearty meals is gonna basically, allow you to do things like meal prep, and so laziness doesn't punish me. Right, and it doesn't punish you. Like I want to become someone in your life that you can rely on musically as your teacher, and I want to hold you accountable. That's what people don't want in their lives, is accountability partners. But that is almost the sole way. You think about the triangle, right? And at the top, it's like two people at the base of the triangle, and then you weave those just like a stronger piece of twine. You take 3 pieces of twine, right, and you go up into a pyramid. Let's just say the pyramid, right? You actually have 4 sides, so it's more of the north, south, east, west sort of symbolism that goes into that. But you think about a 2-dimensional triangle, right? It has 3 corners, and I would think that your first corner is your alarm clock, your time sensitive types of things, and it's down here. And then it's your food, right? It's what you're putting into your body, into your brain to feed your brain. So your brain can go, okay, brain to body. Roger that. You can actually you can actually give yourself some secret weapons to weaponize yourself, to hold yourself accountable through your time, through your sleep, right? That's kind of the subtext sort of thing. It's underlying. It's like if you get control and honor your sleep cycle and your eating cycles, you drink water, you hydrate, right? And taking that time, just like I'm taking the time to drink that water and give some prosody, right? In lyricism, that prosody or that balance, right? Bam, that balance and that cleanness, right? That those hand sanitizer moments where if you touch something, clean your hands and go to your instrument as you would a person and shake that person's hand. You're kind of interfacing with your guitar in a specific way like that, where it's, you're going to the G scale and you're like, and tune that real quick. But man, I love stuff like that. That's just so simple. That's the Allman Brothers and Melissa. It's a song from them, and I love that. Those three chords like that: E major, and then a F sharp minor, right, and a G sharp minor, back to the F sharp minor, and then resolving on that E major, right? Like it's things like that, and then turning my volume knob and having those systems set up, grabbing my cord, making sure I plug it in right, or plug it, unplug it. I keep mine plugged in because I don't want to waste a single second. When I'm ready and my mind is ready and I hear that melody or I sing that melody or scat or beatbox or however it comes out, I want to be ready. I want to have all my systems in place so there's no messing around and you're actually focusing on the thing that your actual, the source of inspiration, right? So we'll get into that later, and we'll go into lyricism, but it's just to review it, it's mood, and then hook. I'm writing it down here because I didn't write that part down. Chorus, the mood leads you to the hook of your song, or the first lyrical idea that you have. And then that should be your chorus. That should be the basis of your chorus. You're giving them the actual meat and potatoes, the best parts of that story, just like a book, right? And so that chorus would lead you to the second verse. You want to write your best verse, and that should be your second verse. And then you time travel back to that first verse. Or you could say first and third verse. Sometimes there's a third verse, or there's just a song where it's just, 4 verses, and you play the same thing over all those 4 verses, or you have lyrics that the music is different for, and you have the verse music, and kind of like a chorus sort of thing where the music is different but the words are all the same, or they're all choruses, 4 different choruses, but you have to have that prosody and balance. You have to have the setup and the punchline in comedy, or the tension and the release within creating a story and the narrative that goes through a play or goes through a movie or a short story, or a poem, or at the basis of all things, right? You've got I would call the basis of all poetry, that is a haiku, you know, 5, 7, and 5 syllables, you know. So, or actually, I think, let's see, let's look that up. Haiku. Because I want to make sure, like, I don't want to tell you something wrong, so I'm seeking the source in all things that I do. Haiku, short form poetry, 5, 7, 5. There we go. 575 is my mnemonic device to basically track that in my mind, right? $575, right, is how much it takes to invest in the easiest form of poetry, which is a haiku. 5 syllables paired with 7 syllables, right? Paired with 5 more syllables. Okay, so it's actually a palindrome, 5, 7, 5. It reads the same frontwards as it does backwards for that number. So, trying to figure out these systems, right? Let's go back to the meal prep. So, meal prepping is you want to get pre-packaged, ready-to-eat meals and snacks. Meals, but also some snacks that you know, like I said with the cashews. A high-protein snack or a legume like a bean, like making beans in a slow crock pot. You know, that's a very easy meal that you can do, and you can buy ready-to-eat beans, and to where you have all of that nutrient-rich protein that's, you know, basically feeding your central processing unit, right, your brain. So, you know, another thing is to find dips. Find dips that you can have for crackers and, you know, blue tortilla shells, or chips, right? And make your own croutons, make your own chips, you know? You know, take this naan bread and rip it up into tiny pieces and try to separate it and cut it in half and bake it and put olive oil on there and hummus, right? And so get foods that you can combine with soups and salads is another tip that I have in the red zone, in the Gardener zone, right? The meal prep, the things that are going to give you energy. You know, think that the triangle of the rule of threes, right? You've got a soup, a salad, and you've got dips or snacks or things that are going to add up to the whole meal. The meal is the entirety, right? So invest in an awesome water in a smoothie container. That's another tip that's in the red section. I have mine by my bed. It's kind of like a salmon colored mug, and it's actually, I have the sticker because I was trying to go get this sticker. This is on my Vital Records right here, but I've got the sticker for it right here. And on the back side of this is actually to my, it's got the care instructions. And so I'm actually able to see, okay, 80 hours cold. I know that this will last about 80 hours for cold stuff and 26 hours for hot stuff, okay? So that's going back on there. And, you know, that's a sticker. That's essentially some duct tape. So we'll talk about that later. All these systems like rubber bands and zip ties and duct tape and super glue that you can utilize in your musical workspace to help you become as efficient as possible, so that when creativity strikes, you'll be absolutely ready. All you got to do is grab a pick or go record it. Find that way of recording something on a voice note or something like that on your phone, and getting more serious about the craft of songwriting. So, you know, it's really important to discover those superfoods, just like developing those hooks. A hook in music is something that is memorable, and it's almost like a bumper sticker sort of thing that you can say, and you can find a way to incorporate notes or a scale over that what you're actually saying. So that's what I would call a hook. You can do word painting too. Look up, research word painting. And that's basically where the alliteration or the description of what you're singing about or writing poetry about or your story about is actually within what you're creating. Um, so I'm gonna look that up too, so that we can word painting. I really want to have that accurate definition for you, right? It says word painting, also known as tone painting or text painting, is the musical technique of composing music that reflects the literal meaning of a song's lyrics or story elements in programmatic music. So, a word painting is when the melody of a song actually reflects the meaning of the words. The best way to learn about it is to listen. So I'm gonna do my due diligence and say examples of song. Alarms. One of my alarms just went off to call someone. So let's see if we're still recording. Yeah, we're still recording. Okay. All right, we're approaching 30 minutes right here. So examples of songwriting. Another one, Bites the Dust. Hallelujah by Jeff Buckley, which is a Leonard Cohen song. But Queen, bump, bump, bump. Another one, Bites the Dust. Triplet. Ba-da-ba-da-ba-ba-da. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Double, 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 double. So that's a few doubles, and then that last single. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So if you count out things, you'll actually figure out, okay, well this is this. Triplet or single notes, right? There's an A cycle there, and there's a B, and then there's a C. I call it a B prime, or just almost similarity to that B one. That's the main one, the A in form, in musical form. Right? It's repeated, a repeated line. That's a B in the form or the structure of songwriting. That's a C cycle. Another one, Bites the Dust. It's actually based on A, so it's A prime. So it's a similar cycle or form to A. Another one, Bites the Dust, right? And it repeats the lyric, which is the hook. Another one, Bites the Dust, right? So there's examples of word painting. Owl City, Fireflies, Jack Johnson, Never Know. Let's see, what else? I think there is Garth Brooks when he sings Friends in Low Places. I've got friends in low places. Low. When he sings that low note, he actually says the word low. That's a classic country example where that lyrics, it's actually in the song. So that's kind of a cool little moment there. Let's see what else. They said a great word painting is one that creates a moment, in quotations, or in quotes, in a song. A brief play on music and lyrics that makes an expression on the listener, acting like a sort of treat thrown into the mix. And it says it's just one of the signs of a well-rounded songwriter, or a well-rounded songwriter. Sorry about that. So let's go into actually becoming a full-time musician. Those are the preparative sort of things that you have to do. And there's a third preparative thing, but we're going to save those musical mantras for the end. It's the very last thing that you do on the weekends. It's almost like before the cycle starts, and also doing those things after the cycle starts, right? Before the week, right? The Monday through Friday, and then during the weekend, right before that Monday rolls around, right? All those preparative things that we have to do as musicians to become professional musicians, right? we went over investing in 2 containers, right? A container that you wash often, that's easy to wash and get into for your hand, is big enough, right, for smoothies, and also for a water container that you can throw ice in there, and you can throw, just a little bit of pomegranate juice or a little bit of cranberry juice to kind of liven up that water, right? Because water alone is great. It's great, It's 1,000 times better than not having any water. But we need to constantly feed ourselves and to power our CPU. My son Zeke just got some new RAM for his computer. So the RAM, the random access memory, is you need a lot of operating RAM for a PC, and you have to have dedicated RAM. You have to have that. Those are like these habits, these musician habits that we have as professionals that are going to pay dividends. They're going to put money in your bank account through the habits that you form. So let's go into, so now we've talked about feeding your brain, which is technically the first musical instrument. It's your brain, right? That CPU. But let's go into the green moments. The multiple streams of income. This is the meat and potatoes of this video, of actual tangible things that you can do at any age, despite you having or not having a job, right? You're creating your own your luck. I don't believe in luck, and you don't have to either. You can create your own luck, and I'll be your music mentor, and you can have music mentors, your peers, and people that are going to teach you. Your art teacher, your music teacher, any teacher that you have in school, any teacher that when you go to college, you can invest and say, how can I volunteer my time to make this class better? Can I do some plans for you? Can I write things down? Can I go make some copies? Can I make your life easier? Those military coins, a lot of those I got because I tried to make people's lives easier. Usually the jobs that I went on, the missions that I went on, the deployments that I served within, and but it was all about, I had a supervisor, and he said, your job as an airman, your job as a military troop, a member of the United States military, is to make your supervisor, your frontline supervisor, make their job super easy to manage a troop, or the people that they're accountable for. It's a big thing. It's a big step to have personal accountability. So the multiple streams of income is the first secret and tip that I feel is it almost feels like a secret, but it's just a tip. It's just a habit that you need to do, and it's investing more and being more accountable, and finding and creating new responsibilities, right? The new thing, right? The new thing is always the shiny thing, right? But those new responsibilities, you're going to gather evidence from that, from your current and also old responsibilities, and you're going to tie them in. You're going to involve them, just like that rule of 3, that triangle. You're going to get old rules that you no longer are needing to follow, right? Current rules, right? And then new rules at the top, the place where you're going to. It's like the pointer, or the compass rose. When you have a compass and you're like, okay, true north. Where is north for yourself as a musician? And so that's gonna be investing in multiple streams of income. All of these things, teaching lessons, doing free seminars, working weddings and providing massive content, and having backup plans so that you're ready for anything. It might sound silly, but the containers that you have, the bags and the totes and the boxes, and I have 3 fire safes here. None of them are locked because you can break into them very easily. So they're just to protect from fire. They're the things that I grab myself, I grab my loved ones, I grab my dog. Nothing else matters. Maybe my my stepfather's guitar, this fourth string tenor guitar that I couldn't replace. The guy that made it is in Clearwater, Florida, and I think he passed away. And his daughter actually makes the guitars now and took over that role, right, and responsibility. So that's probably the only thing that I would grab is myself, my family, my dog, and that guitar. Everything else can be replaced, through insurance money. So that for multiple streams of income is trying to find the places that you can commit to, even if it's just teaching your friend and going over to their house, and educating yourself and putting yourself through a program like I did. The craziest thing that I will admit to you is that the first 2 years, I started playing guitar in Christmas of '98, and I got this book right here. This is my first book, Guitar Chords, and it was basically, showed you all the major chords, and it went into movable chords, right? And then it went to suspended chords, right? Those suspensions, those da-da, right? And then it went to all those, worked up the neck. And then it went to the major flat 5 chords, all those open chords. And if I would have worked through this book a little bit more diligently, I could have gotten, you got major 6 add 9 chords. A lot of those popular chords there. You've got a lot of stuff, and there was actually a CD with this that I lost or was never in here. But this was from Humble, Texas. Band Together. It was a store called Band Together, and this came with my first guitar that my grandmother bought me. And so more recently I've gotten progression books like this Guitar Grimoire Progressions and Improvisation book. And that circle is the circle of fifths, or it's fifths clockwise and the circle of fourths when you go counterclockwise. I just didn't know all these things, I didn't know what the heck I was doing. Or this drum book, this stick control book for the snare drummer. That's every drummer should know about this, right? And you should have 2 copies. You should have one in your to-go bag and one at home. And you should make a list of things that you're working through. So with all of these things or habits that you can put back into providing a service, or eventually, as a business owner, to providing an actual product like that book. That knowledge can become a product. So that's those are those green type of things that you can do to increase your income to where you can become a full-time musician like myself. The last thing that I want to talk about is kind of a tough thing. It's where I'm making excuses as a musician. For myself, for my bandmates, for people that I jam with, for people that I teach, right? How am I facilitating and making up excuses or agreeing with someone's excuse rather than having a reason, right? The reasoning is basically saying, okay, do I like the result? If this problem has a solution and I'm doing all this other stuff, it's a workaroundable thing. I'm working all around the actual solution. So that's my position as your music mentor. And I want you to be able to ask the people that are actually in your life, whether you're 8, 18, or 38. I want you to be able to ask those people and ask for accountability partners. That is free. It's a free thing that you can do to become a more serious musician, and to hold yourself accountable. If you it's an if-then statement. If I don't do this, then this is the punishment, and it could be a good punishment. Okay, the punishment: if I don't finish this song, I have to write 4 hooks, 4 memorable lines and then I have to put them in my lyrical one-liner sheet that I keep digitally, and then I have, you know, have a little notebook or something like these 3x5 cards are really huge. That's kind of the next item is with your multiple streams of income. It goes into that's a green is your income is green like money, right? Just so happens that kind of correlated there, connected. But the blue is, that color is your workflow. It's kind of what I, you know, it's that prosody, it's that balance, right? Starting clean, right? First things first, sort of things. Getting some water if you need it, right? I have this notebook, and it actually says first things first on it. And these are all my music mentor interviews that I do. These are all the questions that I've asked people, like John 5 from Marilyn Manson and Rob Zombie. You know, to ask him what his first musical memory was, which was Hee Haw. So I have a YouTube short on that, and these 3x5 cards are amazing. These are actually a little bit too big, but they fit my other cigar box that I'm gonna make a cigar box guitar out of this one. And it's really cool. This is something that you can get at Guitar Center, and it's you know, I've got a slide here, and these fit perfectly in here. They fit perfectly. But what I want to do is create this, see if this can be resonant enough, and have, you know, install that 1/4-inch jack to make it electric, right? And see what this box sounds like when you put strings on it. So it's almost, let me take these off here. This is kind of cool because, here, I'll put this on to kind of get it out of the way. This is something that I created too. But you have that, and you want to, right? You have slides and things like this. I think this is like $60 or something like that. And you can make one. You can find a piece of wood, and you can find the specs for it, the specifications to create something like that. So I encourage you to do that and create your own guitar. If you don't have money for a guitar, create it, right? And then buy a slide. Then you can invest in this Joe Perry slide, right? This really cool slide. I love it. It has like a Dia de los Muertos sort of sugar skull vibe on there. And it's just beautiful. I have it all set up perfectly where everything has its place. I'll link to, I'll do a comment on this live video to a song by Radiohead where it's this song called Everything in Its Right Place. And it goes, everything in its right place, in its right place, in its right place. And it's very electronic, and it almost sounds like a Rhodes piano. Everything in its right place, in its right place. And it's about a tempo like that I can remember, right? I want to try to find all these melodies, right? If you can sing it, you can beatbox it, you can scat, right? What we talked about word painting, right? If you can paint with those words, everything in its right place, yeah. Oh, in its right place. Da, 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 da. Right? If you can dance that out and move your body, that's why conducting is so important. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? That's 4/4. Conducting that. Or 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Think of Fantasia and Mickey when he's conducting all of those mops, right? And they're, you know, all this water is going in there, right? You want to be ready for those, you know, flood damage and stuff like that. Yes, you want to mess around and you want to create, but you want to create in a healthy, safe space that's going to reinvest and put all those skills that you're developing into, you know, that creativity, like Mickey, right, and Fantasia. One of the oldest examples. And to have the symphony, you know, that is with that cartoon, that accompanies that cartoon, and to hear all of the parts all around you, like a U, or a, you know, basically an overhang, right, of, you know, on that stage. You know, if you ever get a chance to go to a live concert, or a philharmonic orchestra, right? You see from left to right, you know, there's percussion over here and oboes and the drummer, you know, auxiliary instruments over here, and then you have the string section, and then you have the brass section in the back because it's really loud, right? And it projects really easily. And then you have, you know, the xylophone and the marimbas and all that stuff, and so it creates a stereo field, is what it's called, and it creates that wideness, right, that you're listening to. Like these two speakers, they're not perfect, but when I mix music, that's why I have the computer here, right, and I have the two speakers at ear level, and I want to create, you know, an equidistant triangle. The distance between me and this speaker, right, is equal to the distance in the left speaker. The right speaker and me, the left speaker and me, and also the two speakers together. They meet at my computer, you know? So I'm gonna go ahead and take this off. But this was, you know, just kind of mention this too. See where we're at. All right, cool. We're 3/4 of the way there to our hour. And so I was trying to get this worm clamp because this is just for a regular, you know, key of C sort of harmonica. And so I wanted this Weekender chorus harmonica. See, I wanted that to be able to be played, but I noticed that I couldn't use a lot of these notes are a little bit too shrill for the ear, and my dog actually will howl at these higher notes because it hurts that the frequencies hurt his ears. So just like that stereo spectrum or the symphony that's panned out in that horseshoe shape, right? Or that, you know, you think about singing in a choir and you have kind of a slight arch and a slight leveling up to all those singers, but you think about it like you're open armed, you know, your open reach and a hug, you know, that it has a natural arch and arc to your body. So that's where, you know, kind of symbolism goes into, you know, having a complete circle. And like doing this with someone, you can actually create a complete circle, you know, with your bandmates, right? With your partner, the person that you choose to mentally and romantically invest in as your partner, your husband, your wife, right? So just being inventive is also another thing as far as that multiple streams of income. Like figure it out, find a way, get 3x5 cards, start writing stuff down physically instead of digitally. You know, whatever is hanging you up and getting in your way, try to invent a way through a habit to bypass that thing to where it's not even an issue anymore, right? To where it's actually something that you can go back to. Another thing with that cleanliness is that I keep this pillowcase cover over my equipment, and it goes over my looper right here, and it also goes over my If I have this open, it goes over my my Mac too. And I'll usually have it like this. It'll go over the top of it. It'll even cover my headphones, right? The two headphones that I have over here. And then I have this yellow one right here. It actually goes over the top of this audio interface right here. So it's just all those protective measures of, things to do, habits to create. Get a really cool. I got this from Home Depot. It was just a little free square of a flooring sample, right? So, but what I did, I had one of my guitar students' partners. She gifted me this coaster, and I put it actually on the piece, on the sample, and it has like a slip-proof thing. So I keep that over here sometimes, and I move it around. If it's not working for me, I'll move my drink over here. So another thing is with workflow, I started using this highlighter, but one of the things that you want to do is to kind of go through your workflow and say, okay, I've got all these tools, I've got all these writing utensils. What is absolutely necessary? If I had to grab this and write a song right now, what would I grab? So and to have that ready, everything else is overflow. So, and what I discovered is having things ready with gravity too. Having these pens that feed down, like as they're writing down, the tip is down on all these, even especially the markers and stuff. But what I found was this one's leaking right here, and I can't even open it anymore. So I'm gonna throw that away. And I'm gonna do it upside down. I'm gonna do it to where it's, the stuff is gonna stay in there and it's not gonna leak out like I guess it did. I didn't know what I didn't know, right? So now that I'm aware, right, I'm gonna make it happen. I'm gonna fix that. So I've got highlighters in here too. I've got the autograph silver marker. I've got a back scratcher. I've got several other tools in there, right? And so those go right here for me. They're right out in the open, and they're easily accessible. They're off the wall, so they don't reverb. My dog's itching his collar. Let's see, what else do we got here? Let's see. I've got 2 pairs of scissors. I've got these gold Office Depot gold paper clips are another thing, especially with your lyric books. My lyric book is pretty intense. This is my first lyric book, and then I started writing on, even like manila envelopes and stuff like that. And then I started, I labeled this right here, think before you speak, and the think analogy, right? Is it true? Is it helpful? Is it inspiring? Is it necessary? And is it kind? And so I have the kind thing to do for all these songs would be to get page protectors, right? So a lot of these songs in here, when they're finished, they go into the page protector, and I cut them out if I need to kind of copy and paste physically, into lyric sheets to actual notes and write notes on there. But the paper clip is, it's like this big old honking paper clip right here. It's such a vital thing to, you'd think this was BS and not a real asset in your life, but a paper clip, you can clip things from the side or from the top, or to flip through them a little bit easier, and it's been really helpful in my life as a musician. The other thing is to basically subscribe to things like Tape Op magazine, where the art of recording is displayed in here, and you can kind of see some of the gear that people are using and read all of these interviews that are in here. Mike Campbell from Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers and the Dirty Knobs, right? There's interviews in here that are just amazing. Gear reviews, so you can actually see and listen to and kind of process what gear is going to be the best. So you don't have to do stuff like this. If I had the proper holder for this, which I don't know if there is. I've researched it and I try to find it, but I think this one's just kind of like a solo performance sort of thing that you have to do. You have to just kind of commit to it. Having books like this, and like I said, with the lesson material, like investing in a book that's going to be all encompassing, that's going to teach you how to create the chords and create the scales with your voice, right? Just like a brass instrument can only sing one note at a time. It can only play one note or sing a note at a time. So you have to do arpeggios, ba da ba 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 ba, right? And you can do that with, this isn't really the how. This is more of the why, and kind of the esoteric knowledge-based stuff about, Mike Campbell of Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. What he tried to do to create, memorable breakdown. Go ahead and give it to me. Those kind of moments where those lead guitar licks or those riffs are memorable. And how to write with and for Tom Petty. It's a pretty awesome thing to do. So I'm gonna put this back, this overflow. And so with us talking about workflow in this blue highlighted portion here, some of the things to think about are, what will it take to record decent demos? Like I said, if you have something on your phone, like I do, my Apple device has voice memos. But you can get I have an old recorder, like a little small audio cassette tape recorder, where you can record ideas and erase over them, thanks to Les Paul, who invented overdubbing. You can tape over that same tape, and it can have, it's an analog device, so it's a really beautiful truth that you can do. So the second item in workflow is to find your exact guitar. Find the guitar that speaks to you. And if you can't find it, invest in money to where you can buy a brand new instrument that is going to serve you, and basically invest into yourself when you have that quality instrument. And it shows that you're serious about it too. So the next thing after your guitar, it's out there somewhere, that one guitar for you. And that can happen for 2 or 3 guitars, as many guitars as, you need for the job that you're doing, I would recommend. So the next thing would be to record, like I talked about the audio interface. And your studio monitors. Like, the studio monitors are to hear the purest sound. You want to hear the purest sound, and you want to get some earplugs like I'm wearing right now. To just loop them right here so you don't lose them. Get the ones in Walmart. These are from Walmart, and they have they're really nice because they have these little grabbers right here on there. And you could actually rip this off if you really don't, if you really don't want those, and you just have like a little case form or something on your keychain. You can do that. So I have these at all times, especially for live music events. I'll bring these so I can preserve my hearing, because these are gold. Your ears are how you listen to those demos, and you distinguish between good and not so good lyrics, music, in the overall song, right? Even for like sound checks, when you do a live gig or when you do a wedding, like you need to check in the space, right? The space where the music is happening or the event is happening, and you need to look into acoustics and what acoustics, it's not just an acoustic guitar, right? It's the actual acoustics of how the room blends with the sound, that's happening in the room, and looking up, what acoustics means within sound production and things like that, or music, Foley for movies, right? Creating these sound effects and watching the movie, right? And then going da da da, and working on timing, right? And the natural flow of the song and what it actually needs, if it needs a shaker, right? Or if it just needs right? It's minimalist. It's that minimalist viewpoint. So the next thing that you can do as far as workflow, that's a little bit about performance and acoustics, but which helps. I think it helps your workflow. If you're working in a space and in a room, you need to know that room. You need to know what that room is going to do as far as the reverb. And when I have my looper, I take all the reverb off of it, because I know I have to tune to my room, and the speakers that I'm performing through. If they're not studio speakers like this, studio monitors, and they're just regular speakers, that frequency response could be bass heavy, like it was at one of the venues that I was performing at recently. And I had to take all the bass out of my song at a moment's notice. And it was very hard for me to do that, but I had to figure it out, and I had to go into a deep dive into my settings, and while the song was playing, and while I was grooving with it still. So that's another skill set, is to kind of, usually it's a combination of things. You have the guitar, right, the acoustic guitar, and then you have your voice. So when you stomp your foot, that's that triangle, right? Boom, 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 right? And then when you add a harmonica, it's a fourth element, right? A square. Instead of a triangle, 3 elements: your voice, your guitar, and that foot stomp, right, to the drum. It's I don't know. It's just wild how simple it is. The next thing is to, after you've earned your studio monitors and invested in those, to hear sound as perfect and pure as it can be. You want to color code your chords, your instrument cable, whether it's something like this, where you just have like a little lockable piece of I don't know what this is, like neoprene or something, or if it's through things like this, like zip ties, to have zip ties for all your chord management. And I got this this thing right here, which is actually for shoes. Let's see if I can go towards that. Bam, right there. So this thing right here is actually for shoes, but I keep my microphones there. I keep some duct tape down there. I keep a lock down there. Some microphones back there behind my tambourine. And then I basically I've designed this to be beautiful, to be aesthetically pleasing to me, to where I actually want to go and work in my workspace. That's another thing too. That's really huge. I've got my soldering station right here. Got my soldering gun. And got my lem oil and changing my guitar strings. It all happens over here. So I've got my work center right here. And then I've got actually the music creating center over here, right? So that's a huge thing that I do. That is all about workflow. It's all about having systems of if-then. Like, okay, if I have this here, then it's going to serve me in this way. So let's go back here. And so Um, these other things, we talked about color coding your chords. It's a huge thing for you to be able to do, where you don't actually, someone doesn't pick up your chord at a gig or something, or there's you want it to be foolproof. You want everyone to know, oh my gosh, um, your chords are your chords, and they have yellow duct tape around them, something like that. Something highly visible, like we talked about, red, orange, yellow, or white, right? So the next thing is to buy too many picks. Have picks laying around. I think there's one down here, even on the floor. I love these little red Jim Dunlop heavy picks. That's a whole, that's a whole another video as far as guitar picks and stuff like that. But it's ready, like right here. I know I have it like this, where the tip is pointing towards my screen, because I know that's exactly where, if I have my guitar in my hand, it's going to be exactly how I grab it. Bam. Headphones right here. Bam. Microphone on. Bam. Right? So everything is thought of, even this, this little extension right here. Everything is kind of thought of beforehand, so when inspiration hits, all this stuff that you're doing to set up your workflow, even if it's just a binder, even if it's in a binder like this, and everything that you have is in here, your computer, and you don't have any microphones, you don't have an audio interface, you don't have speakers, you just have headphones. I would recommend to buy quality brand of headphones, or even using these headphones that come with the iPhone. They plug into your phone, and that's all I need. I know that's all I need to record a good demo, to where I can kind of go to that as a resource later. And doing crazy stuff, like I put this little ring around my zipper so I can open it easier, and to have an actual system of where things are at. See, I've got my business plan for my business in here, and all these little tips, and then all these little folders, and little divisions. I've even got graph paper, just crazy stuff that you don't think you'd need, but you actually need. I've got an extra pen right here. I've got a bunch of different dividers in case I need them, right? So, and I know that I can hold my binder like this and easily get into it. Bam, right? And that goes with me. It's like a life preserver. So, same with the guitar pick. The guitar pick that you put in the same place, right, wherever it's at. And you have a backup. My backup is right here on my mouse. Bam. I've got that guitar pick right there. And I know it. So, let's see. Oh, there it goes. I'm going to do blue and green. I'm going to do blue. Oh, that's purple. There we go. So, lastly, I want to talk about lyricism, and then those musical mantras. To kind of set the scene, I really love water. I think it's a pure thing. Get some right now. But so we covered workflow, which was to buy too many picks so that it's enough. And we organized all the little things, all the pens, all the paper clips, all the binders and folders and dividers, and even having, even when you go see bands, one of the tips that I read online was to have that silver metallic marker pen, right? And to be like, hey, can you sign my stuff? And to have the perfect pen for the stuff, right? To get past the 9 no's so you could get to that last 10th yes from the person that you respect. The person that's making music like you want to create, and like you want to be a professional and become a professional musician. What that takes Ooh, we're coming up on an hour and 9 minutes for this video, so a little bit longer than what I anticipated. But just wrapping this up with lyricism and those musical mantras. The lyricism is, to how to write better melodies is to go from mood, write the mood, realize your own mood, right? If you need lighting like this to help to process new lyrics, right? Invest in that, right? Or buy a bulb, a black light bulb, right? Is really cheap. A red light, plugging it in. Every kid has a lamp in the room, so I challenge you to have mood lighting by the end of the week, to find a white bulb or an orange bulb or a blue bulb, right? A purple bulb, something like that. That's actually a black light, but something that you can utilize to change your work center and your workflow, right? For that flow of work to change, and that if-then statement. Okay, if I do this with the light, then what is that going to create? And writing that down. Okay, creating the lighting in my room is going to make me feel a little bit more involved in the songwriting process, right? Even if you're not a musician, listening to music in a beautiful space where you have these Northern Lights machines going, or you have your little bulb, right? Kind of watch out for fire safety as far as those bulbs if they're not LED. I would recommend an LED colored bulb, and to ask the adults in your life, what could I do to earn a safe LED colored bulb for my lamp? What can I do as far as chores, as far as like we talked about, those multiple streams of income, and trying to find a solution for a problem in your world is how to become a professional musician. So for lyricism, right, creating lyrics, the art of the lyric is to write better melodies. You have to be singing in the shower. You have to be humming